On the 126th Independence Day of the Philippines, personnel aboard the BRP Teresa Magbanua held a ceremonial flag raising at Sabina Shoal in the West Philippine Sea, amidst the presence of several Chinese vessels. This marked the first time the Philippine flag was raised on this hotly contested shoal, which lies well within the Philippines' 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone but is illegally claimed by China. The BRP Teresa Magbanua was stationed at Sabina Shoal to uphold peace and security within Philippine sovereign waters, as the Philippine Coast Guard works to defend one of its strategic features in the West Philippine Sea, especially as China faces accusations of constructing new artificial islands. The BRP Teresa Magbanua MRRV 9701, the largest ship of the Philippine Coast Guard, has been deployed to Escoda, also known as Sabina Shoal, to thwart alleged attempts by China to build another artificial island in the West Philippine Sea. According to a PCG official, the 97-meter multi-role response vessel has been patrolling the shoal for almost 2 months. This deployment followed observations by PCG and marine science experts from the University of the Philippines, who noticed the dumping of dead and crushed corals on the sandbars of Escoda Shoal, suggesting an attempt to construct an elevated feature resembling a small island. The Philippine Navy has also deployed a warship to Escoda Shoal in the West Philippine Sea amidst China's alleged reclamation efforts. Commodore Roy Vincent Trinidad, the Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, announced that the country's naval fleet has ramped up its maritime patrols in coordination with the Philippine Coast Guard's operations in the area. In recent days, the Navy has increased its patrols around Escoda Shoal, maintaining a warship stationed in the area to ensure that any activity involving the piling up of dead corals is closely monitored and exposed. This situation is particularly alarming for the Philippines because Escoda Shoal is just 75 nautical miles from the coastline of Palawan. Throughout the BRP Teresa Magbanua's deployment at Escoda Shoal, they have observed the presence of 3 People's Liberation Army Navy vessels, 4 China Coast Guard ships, including vessels with bow numbers 4402 and 3303 known for blocking resupply missions to Ayungin Shoal, and 34 Chinese maritime militia vessels. Escoda Shoal's strategic significance is underscored by its proximity to Palawan and its role as the rendezvous point for resupply missions to Ayungin Shoal conducted by the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine Coast Guard. It is at this location that AFP chartered resupply boats meet with their PCG escort vessels to deliver supplies to troops stationed on the BRP Sierra Madre. The Philippine Coast Guard also deployed 2 44-meter vessels, BRP Cobra and BRP Malabrigo, for rotational deployment from Escoda Shoal to Rosal Reef in Recto Bank. A PCG official noted that Rosal Reef is also being swarmed by Chinese vessels. The dumping of dead and crushed corals on the sandbars of Escoda Shoal resembles the island-building activities seen at Sandy Cay in the Calayan Island Group, or Spratly Islands, in September 2023. The Philippine government has vowed that the PCG will defend Escoda Shoal from China's alleged reclamation activities. J. Batong Bacal, head of the UP College of Law's Institute for Maritime Affairs and Law of the Sea, suggested that the government could use the research team's findings as the basis for a follow-up case to the 2016 Arbitral Ruling, which rejected China's 9-line claim in the South China Sea. Destroying coral reefs for reclamation activities is a violation of international law because it contravenes nations' obligations to preserve and protect marine resources. This deliberate destruction and alteration of the marine environment could serve as the basis for another case following up on the 2016 arbitration ruling. The Philippines recently celebrated an advisory opinion issued by the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, which acknowledged key aspects of the 2016 South China Sea arbitration, ruling as authoritative. This advisory opinion came in response to a request from the Commission of Small Island States on Climate Change and International Law, submitted in December 2022. As As a state party to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, the Philippines participated in the proceedings in September 2023 to support the call from small island nations for protection against the impacts of climate change. The Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs stated that this opinion strengthens the legitimacy of the final and binding 2016 arbitration award, reinforcing its unassailable status as part of international law. The Philippines reiterated its ongoing call for full compliance with the award. The 2016 arbitration ruling upheld the Philippines' exclusive economic zone over China's historical claims in the disputed South China Sea under UNCLOS, a ruling China has never recognized. The Department of Foreign Affairs, DFA, has announced that the Philippines is thoroughly reviewing the advisory opinion and its implications for the state parties to the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. This review focuses on the duty to protect and preserve the marine environment, particularly in the context of greenhouse gas emissions, climate change impacts, and ocean acidification. The Philippines acknowledges that advisory opinions play a crucial role in clarifying and developing international law. The nation emphasizes that adherence to the rule of law ensures equity in the global commons and supports a fair, just, and peaceful multilateral world order. On July 12, 2016, the Arbitral Tribunal ruling on the Philippines' case against China in the South China Sea overwhelmingly favored the Philippines. The tribunal determined that significant elements of China's claims, including the 9-dash line, recent land reclamation activities, and other actions in Philippine waters, were unlawful. As expected, China reacted negatively to the ruling, insisting it was null and void, and may take assertive and inflammatory actions to defend its position. The long-term adherence to the ruling by China and the extent of international community support and enforcement will significantly impact the effectiveness of international law in ensuring the peaceful, stable, and lawful use of the seas. Economically, diplomatically, and militarily outmatched by China, the Philippines turned to legal arbitration for recourse. The Philippines case, comprising thousands of pages of arguments and documents, asked the court to declare China's claims based on the 9-dash line invalid under UNCLOS. It also sought declarations on whether certain land features in the South China Sea were rocks, islands, or low-tide elevations, and whether China had interfered with the Philippines' rights to exploit resources within its claimed waters. Over the past 7 years, China has dedicated substantial resources and effort to discredit the Philippines case and the legitimacy of the proceedings, consistently arguing that it would neither accept nor participate in the arbitration. In the months leading up to the ruling, Beijing ramped up a diplomatic offensive to garner support for its stance, claiming that 60 countries backed its position. However, in reality, only 10 countries made public statements supporting China. The Permanent Court of Arbitration's 479-page ruling was overwhelmingly in favor of the Philippines, declaring several elements of China's claims in the South China Sea unlawful. Key findings of the ruling included: China's claims to historic rights and resources within its 9-dash line have no legal basis. None of China's claimed land features in the Spratly Islands qualify as islands capable of generating a 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone. China violated the Philippines' sovereign rights by interfering with its oil exploration activities, prohibiting Philippine fishing vessels from operating, failing to prevent Chinese fishing vessels from operating, and conducting land reclamation in areas where the Philippines have sovereign rights to explore and exploit natural resources. China breached its marine environmental protection obligations under UNCLOS by causing severe harm to the coral reef environment through its land reclamation activities and harvesting of endangered species. This landmark ruling reinforced the Philippines' stance and highlighted the importance of adhering to international law to maintain peace and stability in the region. China is legally bound by the tribunal's ruling due to its ratification of UNCLOS. However, the enforcement of this ruling remains an open question. The Philippines and other nations have various legal avenues to hold China accountable if it fails to comply or refuses to negotiate a resolution. China's immediate response to the ruling involved releasing two statements. The first was a notably subdued government statement reaffirming its territorial sovereignty and maritime rights in the South China Sea, expressing a desire to resolve disputes peacefully without directly referencing the Philippines or the arbitration. The second was a more hardline statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, declaring the ruling null and void with no binding force. Following the ruling, China increased the presence of the People's Liberation Army, PLA, China Coast Guard, and maritime militia in disputed areas. PLA, along with the Coast Guard and maritime militia, conducted patrols, staged exercises, and engaged in harassment or intimidation of Philippine and other vessels, a tactic that has become more frequent in recent years. Additionally, the PLA deployed fighter jets and advanced military assets to the Spratly Islands, violating China's pledge not to militarize the area. Despite the tribunal's ruling that Scarboro Reef is a rock rather than an island, it did not address the sovereignty of the feature between China and the Philippines. Moreover, the tribunal did not rule Chinese fishing activities near Scarboro Reef as unlawful. China has thus far refrained from land reclamation at Scarboro Reef, likely due to intense US pressure. However, China's strategy of asserting dominance in the region through military and maritime means continues to challenge the peaceful resolution of these territorial disputes. China might develop Scarboro Shoal, similar to its other reclaimed features in the Spratly Islands, significantly boosting its military presence in the South China Sea. This could create a strategic triangle of occupied islands: the Paracel Islands, Scarboro Shoal, and the Spratly Islands, all capable of hosting civilian and military infrastructure. Such a move would place a military outpost unprecedentedly close to the Philippines. If the ruling fails to change China's behavior long-term, it would signal to the world that following international law is optional, undermining international maritime law as a tool for ensuring the peaceful, stable, and lawful use of the seas. This would contradict the United States' goal of maintaining peace through a rules-based order in the Asia-Pacific. China's aggressive actions in recent years indicate that the reputational costs of ignoring international law are not enough to deter it from pursuing its regional interests in ways that threaten stability. In response, the United States Coast Guard plans to deploy its North Pacific assets to support the Philippine Coast Guard in upholding its sovereign rights in the West Philippine Sea. This move comes as China prepares to implement an anti-trespassing policy that encroaches on the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. The Coast Guards of the Philippines, Japan, and the United States have reaffirmed their commitment to keeping the West Philippine Sea free and secure amid China's new regulation to detain supposed trespassers in what it claims as its maritime boundaries. In the midst of escalating tensions between the Philippines and China over the South China Sea, the Philippines made a significant move to strengthen its maritime defenses. The order for 5 new Coast Guard patrol ships was announced just as a Philippine civilian resupply convoy was on its way to Scarboro Shoal, a remote reef that lies within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, but is also claimed by China. Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson Jay Tariela took the opportunity at a recent press briefing to denounce China's latest policy on the waters of Manila's exclusive economic zone, EEZ, calling it yet another illegal overreach by Beijing. China's claim of full sovereignty over our own exclusive economic zone is baseless, Tariela asserted, criticizing China's so-called 9-dash line, an imaginary boundary used by Beijing to claim almost the entire South China Sea, according to old Chinese maps. As China's pressure in the South China Sea continues to mount, the Philippines has turned to Japan for support. In a deal worth over 23.8 billion pesos, Japan has agreed to sell 5 new multi-role patrol ships to the Philippine Coast Guard. These ships are expected to be delivered by 2027, bolstering the Philippines' maritime patrol capabilities. Japan is providing the Philippines with a loan of 64.3 billion yen, about $413 million, to fund the purchase of these 597-meter-long vessels. This agreement also includes Japanese support for developing the necessary facilities for maintaining these ships. This investment will help the Philippine Coast Guard enhance its ability to conduct maritime operations, tackle transnational crimes, and respond to China's aggressive maneuvers in the West Philippine Sea. These new patrol ships will be the same size as the largest vessel currently in the Philippine Coast Guard fleet. Right now, the Philippine Coast Guard only has two 97-meter patrol vessels, which are considered too few for effectively covering the vast expanse of the archipelago nation's waters. In recent months, tensions have flared with several collisions between Philippine and Chinese Coast Guard ships around disputed reefs. On April 30th, Philippine Coast Guard boats were even hit with water cannons by the Chinese Coast Guard near Scarboro Sha, highlighting the intense and ongoing maritime disputes in the region. As the Philippines gears up for a stronger maritime presence, this new fleet of ships represents a crucial step in the country's effort to defend its waters and stand up to China's expansive claims in the South China Sea. Imagine a triangle of reefs and rocks stretching across the South China Sea. This is Scarboro Sha, a strategic patch of ocean that sits about 240 kilometers, or 150 miles, west of the Philippines' main island of Luzon. To put that in perspective, it's nearly 900 kilometers from the nearest significant Chinese landmass, Hainan. In the face of these maritime challenges, it's more important than ever for Filipinos to stay vigilant, informed, and united. By coming together, Filipinos can protect their national interests and defend their sovereignty against misinformation and propaganda. China's recent actions in the West Philippine Sea have shown a blatant disregard for international law and the Philippines' rightful claims. In a troubling display of aggression, Chinese Coast Guard vessels have been using water cannons and dangerous maneuvers to block Philippine boats on a routine humanitarian mission. The Philippine Coast Guard and the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources were simply trying to deliver food and fuel to local fishermen. But China, in its arrogance, is now accusing the Philippines of illegally entering their waters that international tribunals have confirmed as part of the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. China's behavior is a clear violation of international law and a shameful attempt to bully the Philippines. Their tactics reveal a regional power eager to infringe on the rights of others to extend its own dominance. The West Philippine Sea is undeniably part of the Philippines, and it has been and will always be a vital part of the nation's territory. It is up to the Filipino people to stand firm and defend their sovereignty in this crucial maritime region. The West Philippine Sea symbolizes the inherent rights and independence of the Filipino people, and it's their duty to safeguard it against any threats or infringements. By standing together and staying united, Filipinos can resist these aggressive moves and ensure that their national sovereignty is respected and preserved for generations to come. The West Philippine Sea isn't just a stretch of water. It's a powerful symbol of Filipino national identity and pride. It represents the deep-rooted commitment of the Filipino people to protect their heritage and natural resources. Think of it this way. For generations, Filipino ancestors braved these waters, making incredible sacrifices to uphold the nation's sovereignty. Their stories are woven into the fabric of Philippine history, showcasing the relentless spirit to defend their land and their sea. This historical legacy and the ongoing challenges they face are a testament to the Philippines' enduring commitment to the West Philippine Sea. Today, as new pressures arise from external forces, this sea remains a beacon of the country's strength and resolve. The Philippines stands united in asserting their rights and safeguarding their national interests in these waters. This resolve is not just about protecting a body of water. It's about honoring the sacrifices of the past and preserving a crucial part of their national heritage for the future. The West Philippine Sea is more than just a maritime territory. It's a lasting symbol of Filipino unity and determination. It embodies the nation's strength in the face of adversity and their unwavering dedication to defending what is rightfully theirs. By standing firm and united, Filipinos ensure that the West Philippine Sea remains a powerful emblem of their nation's spirit and perseverance. This collective effort reinforces their sovereignty and secures their rightful place in the face of any challenge, big or small. So, as the Philippines faces these trials, they do so with the confidence and unity that their history and their people demand. The West Philippine Sea will continue to be a testament to their strength and a symbol of their unwavering resolve to protect what they hold dear.